Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the fifth and final Basketball Coaches Biweekly Video Conference of the 2022-23 season. I am Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Strategic Communications, and I will be the moderator for this morning's proceedings. This will be the last biweekly video conference for our men's and women's basketball coaches prior to the 2023 MEAC basketball tournament. This year's tournament will once again be at the Norfolk State Arena in Norfolk, Virginia, next Wednesday through Saturday, March 8th through 11th. For more information on the tournament and to purchase tickets, please visit www.meachoops.com. With just one game remaining in the regular season for each program, the top seed for the men's tournament is still up for grabs. Howard University currently sits in first place at 10-3, with Norfolk State and North Carolina Central one game back at 9-4 each. The Spartans and Bison will square off in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, Thursday, March 2nd, in a game that will be televised live on ESPNU at 9 p.m. Eastern. On the women's side, Norfolk State has wrapped up the regular season title and corresponding number one seed in next week's tournament, sitting at 11-2 in MEAC play, 2 games clear of both Howard and Morgan State, who sit at 9-4. Before we begin, please note this morning's procedures. Each member institution's men's and women's coaches will join us for a 10-minute question and answer session, starting with a couple of questions from us here at the conference office. We will then turn it over to the media to ask questions. If you have a question for a coach, please click on Zoom's raised hand feature, and I will announce you when it's your turn. At that time, please state your name and affiliation before asking your question. We will begin this morning's proceedings by going up to Baltimore, Maryland, where Coppin State University is located. We are currently joined by women's head coach Jermaine Woods, and we are awaiting the arrival of head men's coach Juan Dixon. The Coppin State women are 5-8 in conference play. They've won 3 of their last 5 games, while the Eagle men currently sit 3-10 in MEAC action. One of the highlights for that program since the last time we spoke was a road victory over Norfolk State 2 weekends ago. Good morning, Coach Woods. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good, man. How about yourself, Jeff?
Doing well. Good to see you again. I mentioned it in the open. You've won 3 of your last 5 games. I know standings-wise, the conference season hasn't quite gone the way you probably hoped, but does it feel like your program is starting to find its rhythm just as the regular season wraps up?
Yeah, man. Thank you for asking that question. I appreciate the congratulations. 3 out of 5. We've, like I said, it's been a trying season without our best 2 players. We thought we was going to have a few pieces that have played this season, but we kind of just fighting, man. Like Jeff, you wouldn't believe that we don't even practice. We haven't practiced in like 2.5 weeks. We have 7 girls that go to physical therapy 3 times a week, and we have 8 players available. So we don't practice. We literally go to physical therapy, go over the scouting report, and we show up and we play. And they fighting like heck, man. And I'm so proud of that group. They're a joy to be around. Anybody who watches them know they're going to fight to the end. And I've had, so far, it's not over yet. We got a tournament to play in the game tomorrow night. I've had a ball coach in this group. It's been an amazing group of young women. The record doesn't show it, but if you're around us, man, I enjoy being around this group. So proud of them and their perseverance and just fighting. Like the last 2 games that we won, we didn't have a full roster again. The last game, we didn't have 2 of our players. So just proud of the group and their fight and their continued fight and just believing in what we're doing.
You mentioned without your 2 best players, we've talked about this before. Jai Alexander, the reigning player of the year, preseason player of the year. Well, when we started these talks, you were talking, we're going to get her back. We're going to get her back. And she hasn't come out on the floor. How demoralizing is that for a program? And at the same time, you talk about the way the players who are available have stepped up. What's that process been like these last 2 months?
What it does is you think it's going to happen, and then you have players like, okay, we got to hold it down until she get back, and then you realize the reality is she may not come back. So you have players that are in roles that they've never been in before in their careers, uh, last year or their previous schools or high schools. So we've had players who had to step up and have fought through it. We're not counting her out. Like, she could come back for the tournament. Not counting it in either. We'll see. But I'm good with the players that we have and the players that are showing up every day. And I'll roll with them any day, man, because they fight to the end. And we have snuck some wins in here, and hopefully we can get a few more. And all we got to do is be good tomorrow and then 3 days in March. And I think we have a good shot. Wherever we land in this seeding, we're just going to show up, and we're going to do what we always do. We're going to fight. We're going to play hard. And at the end of the day, the scoreboard is going to say one way or the other, but we're going to give a fight. But like, losing, not having Jair, and Aaliyah Lawson could have came back as well. And what I didn't disclose before the MEAC is, in August, she had MRIs, and she had 2 things going on with her knees, and that's the reason why she didn't come back and play. And so you don't recruit over Aaliyah or Jair. You wait to see what they're going to do, right? So you don't use those scholarships, and we didn't. And so, but I've had fun. Looking forward to continue to build this program. My AD and my president have been tremendous in supporting me and understand what we're doing. Kramer is one of my biggest fans and always has my back and always tells me, great job. He loves seeing my team play. And those kind of things feel good when you're going through a trying season. But we've had fun. We'll walk through today. We'll watch film. We'll do physical therapy. We'll watch film. We'll do treatment, and then we'll walk through. And then we'll show tomorrow. We'll try to fight as hard as possible and try to and wherever the cards fall with the season, that's where they fall, and we'll be ready to play.
After that, I'm a little fired up, Coach, to point me in the direction of the wall to run through. We're joined now by head men's coach, Juan Dixon. Coach Dixon, thank you for joining us. You've won 2 of your last 3 games, and one of those wins was on the road against a Norfolk State team that's our 2-time defending champion. How do you assess your program as we wrap up the regular season and head to the tournament?
We're excited. As long as we keep strapping up like Woods and the women's team, we're going to be all right. That's what they do. Defense travels. So, we really focus on our defense the last few weeks. We knew as a staff that we would get this thing turned around. It was just a matter of, keeping the morale up in the locker room. Our guys kept believing. They kept trusting. And defensively, it's been an issue throughout the year. We try to, do things a certain way, and we have to adapt to the personnel on our team. And we've done that over the last few games. Our defense have gotten a lot better for the most part. We played great basketball the last 4 games. We had a short, a time in that UMES game where we didn't play solid. We didn't value the ball. We stopped closing out the way we were taught. But for the most part, I'm excited about our brand going into March. And like Coach Woods just said, it's about 3 games. And we're confident that, we can have success. We'll take it, a game at a time once we get to the tournament. But, of course, we want to finish the season strong at Morgan on Thursday. Very good basketball team, well coached, plays tough, but we'll be more than prepared.
You mentioned it. It's 3 games next week, and this is a run that your program made last year, going to the championship game as a 7 seed. Is that something you lean on, particularly with the players who were here last year?
Yeah, I mean, we have experience, and our guys do understand what it takes. It's just a matter of us finding a rhythm going into the conference tournament, which I think we're starting to get around to playing our brand of basketball. Like I said, we made a ton of adjustments when it came to the personnel of our team. And, as a staff, I'm a passionate coach. I like to, get our guys going on the sideline. I had to take a step back and reevaluate my coaching. Like, you know what? Trust your guys a little bit more to be able to communicate, to be able to make plays, and me not directing, throughout every possession. So I did that against Delaware State Monday. It worked out for us. So just like, I want them to trust us, I got to continue to trust them more and more, which I do. And come, next week, it's just taking the game at a time. I mean, we're confident that, we can compete with every team in our conference, very competitive conference. And whoever we match up with, we're going to play our brand of basketball and just see what happens. But it's just, playing the with some momentum going into March, your team being confident. And, we're going to take it a day at a time. And I'm excited for the opportunity to play in MEAC next week.
One last question for me. This is for both coaches, and Coach Woods, you can start. Coppin State will hoist the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank.
If we continue to defend like we do, take care of the ball, like Coach said, value possessions, and make a couple shots. We've been winning games strictly off defense. If we shoot the ball just a little bit better on March 11th, I'll be back on social media.
For us, it's pretty much the same, but I'm just going to use the term being connected. We got to be connected on both ends of the floor. And if we can be connected, play through adversity, and then strike back, I think we'll be fine. I just want to play well on Thursday. Morgan is going to compete. They're going to play hard for 40. We got to be able to go out and do what we do on both ends of the floor for 40 minutes. I'm not worried. I'm excited for the opportunity. Our guys excited. And we look forward to, playing Morgan tomorrow and next week at the MEAC.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all of my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media.
Shut up, Brad.
Coaches, we see no questions from the media, so we thank you for joining us this morning. We thank you for your participation over the last 2 months. Best of luck tomorrow night, and we'll see you next week here in Norfolk.
Thank you all.
Great job, Jeff. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. See you next week. All right.
See y'all next week. Coppin State will wrap up the regular season on the road tomorrow, Thursday, March 2nd, against crosstown rival Morgan State. As we can, as we continue the 2022-23 MEAC basketball coaches biweekly video conference, we are now joined by Delaware State head men's coach Stan Waterman, and we are currently awaiting a representative from the Delaware State women's program. Delaware State currently sits in 6th place in the men's standings, 4-9 in conference play, while the Hornet women are also 4-9 in conference play, and they sit in 7th in the women's standings. Good morning, Coach Waterman. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thanks for having us.
My first question for you, Coach. This time of year, the calendar flips to March. Hope seems to spring eternal for every program in the nation, no matter what the standings or the records say, because March Madness, this time of year, this is what happens. What do you see in your program that makes you think you can make a March type run next week?
Well, I feel like we have vastly improved, as everyone else has, I'm sure, has that same feeling since the start of the season. And March is madness. It's hard to believe March is here, but it's an exciting time of year. In our league, it's been so competitive. As recent as last week, you saw maybe some unanticipated outcomes in some of the games, and I think we are in store for a really, really exciting MEAC tournament. We've been playing pretty well in spurts. And hopefully we can just become a bit more consistent, get some momentum, get healthy, and play our best basketball at this time of the year.
You mentioned playing well in spurts and looking for consistency. At this point of the year, how do you get that consistency? Is that something you work on in practice, or is it just one of those things you either have it or you don't at this point?
I think at this point you either have it or you don't. You're always working towards trying to build that. And hopefully by this point, you're 26, 27 games into your season, you've found your identity and you know who you are. But hopefully we've just gotten a little bit better. Again, we've had some health issues, and we're hoping to be a bit more healthy and you get some consistency in that regard, just having a consistent lineup and having the same guys. And so that's probably the biggest difference for us, if we can get all of our guys back and know we have our guys back, and then be able to perform that way and prepare.
We're joined now by Delaware State women's associate head coach Jasmine Turner. Coach Turner, thank you for joining us. As I mentioned to Coach Waterman, the standings don't look that great, but at the same time, you've won 2 of your last 3 games, and it feels like you're building a little bit of momentum here at the end of the season. Would that be your assessment of this program?
Yeah, I think right now we're playing a good brand of basketball. The girls are really loose. They're feeling good about where we are, even though in the standings we would like to be, in a different position, higher up. But I just think that right now we're in a place where we're ready to roll. They're locked in, we're focused, and it feels good to be playing this way at the right time. Going into March and going into the tournament, I think we're looking really good.
One player I wanted to ask you about it is one of your freshmen who maybe doesn't get a whole lot of publicity in terms of the conference race, but she's really performed for you of late, and that's Savannah Brooks.
Yeah, Savannah Brooks. She's a hard-nosed player. She loves this game. We lost in a close one to Coppin the other night, and she took that one hard. She's a kid that wants to, have every tough matchup, wants to win every game, wants to be on every loose ball. And I know she's had some notoriety a little bit with Rookie of the Week here this year. So we do appreciate that and see that the conference office sees her efforts and the work she's put in as a freshman. And we've asked her to take on big tasks every night, guarding some of the top guards in this league. And even sometimes we're putting on some forwards. I mean, just because of her tenacity and her grit when it comes to defense and wanting to take that challenging matchup. So Savannah Brooks has a bright future here in the MEAC as long as she keeps developing and doing the work and staying coachable.
What's the difference with this program from now compared to when conference play started? It really seems in a lot of ways like this program is finding its identity and kind of rounding into form a little bit.
Yeah, I think that we just, you hit a couple roadblocks early, and some of our players did not have a lot of experience. So if you look at Brianna Dotson, who is a sophomore in the classroom, but she's a freshman on the court. Lex played for us last year, but prior to that, she didn't have a lot of game time experience. Jayla Johnson, although she's a Division I transfer, early on for us, she wasn't receiving a lot of reps and minutes in game. And I think the experience over time has just allowed them to build some confidence. So I think, compared to the first half of the MEAC and to now going to the second round and wrapping this up the regular season, I think the experience that these players have gained has helped them build a lot of confidence and they feel good about what they're doing out there on the floor with the decisions they make, the pace of the game. And we try to practice that with tempo and practice. So I think a big part of it is confidence, and just getting those reps in and that experience they've had.
One last question, Adam, and it's for both of you, and Coach Waterman, we'll start with you on this. Delaware State will hoist the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank.
That's an if, and I think it comes down to health. If we're healthy and we have our roster intact and everybody's able to participate, and of course you got to be able to play well and play consistent. You got to win 3 games, so you got to establish some consistency, and we've demonstrated that this year. We had a nice little 3-game win streak, so we believe that we can win. We can put 3 games together, and that's what it's all about at tournament time. And so having that belief, getting some consistency and being healthy. If we get those things going, we'll have a chance.
Coach Turner?
Yeah, for us, I think it's just, once again, following Coach Waterman health. We've rotated, about 8 players here towards the end. And for us, it's just about, getting some rest. A big part for us is rest, physically and mentally. So I think that's on the top of our list. And I think if we just come out and play our brand of basketball and our tenacity and focus, that's something that I've just been talking about with our girls the last few weeks and the sacrifice they're willing to give to get to the 11th and get to Saturday.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all of my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. If you have a question for either Coach Waterman or Coach Turner, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform. And please identify yourself and your outlet when called upon. Once again, questions for either Coach Turner or Coach Waterman. Coaches, seeing no questions from the media, so thank you for your attendance this morning. Thank you for your participation these last couple months. Good luck tomorrow night. We'll see you next week in Norfolk.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thanks, and good luck to everybody.
Delaware State will wrap up the regular season at home on tomorrow, Thursday, March 2nd, when they head up. They'll stay in Memorial Hall Gym. What am I talking about? As they take on arch rival Maryland Eastern Shore. We'll now move on to our nation's capital. We are currently joined by Women's Associate Head Coach Brian Davis, and we are awaiting the arrival of head men's coach Kenny Blakeney from Howard University. The Bison men are 10-3 in league play and sit alone atop the MEAC standings. Well, the Bison women are sitting at 9-4 in conference play, and they are tied with Morgan State for second place. Morning, Coach Davis. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing this morning?
Good, Jeff. Good morning.
You've won 7 of your last 9 games, and you appear to be trending in the right direction heading into the tournament. How would you assess your program as you work to defend your title from a year ago?
I think that the program is going in a good direction. We continue to work on ourselves to make sure that we're trending in the right direction going into tournament time. You want to be hitting on all cylinders, making sure that you're taking care of things internally to make sure that your team is just ready to play for each game. Each game is going to be important. You only might get just one game, so you got to make sure that you're ready for that day, and that's going to be our plan going into the tournament. But we got a big game on Thursday that we're looking forward to, so we're preparing for that right now. That's our only focus.
I talked to Coach Grace a couple of weeks ago. She said part of the reason for your surge of late has been health. You're getting some players back you hadn't had before, but we're also seeing the emergence of players like Asia Hudson. Talk about her performance and some of these players you're getting back.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages of being healthy. Health creates a good balance with your team. You're able to sub the way you want to sub within the game and make sure that you play the game accordingly. But Asia's been big for us. That's one of the advantages of going into the portal. We're not a huge portal program, but we were able to pick up Asia out of the portal, and she's been tremendous for us all year.
We're joined now by head men's coach Kenny Blakeney. Coach Blakeney, thank you for joining us. You frequently mention that your first year at Howard, you won 4 games, and now you're here, 1 game left in the regular season. You're in first place. You could wrap up the regular season tomorrow night with a win. Talk about the growth of this program since you've gotten there.
Well, hi, Jeff. How you doing?
Good.
Appreciate that. It's been challenging, and I've always kind of just made the point that it's really hard to win Division I basketball games. I marvel at guys in our league like, Lavelle Moten, that's been there, I think, 14 years at North Carolina Central, that's done it. Rob Jones, I think he's been at Norfolk for 8 years and has done it. Like it's difficult. We don't have an easy job. It's very hard because you have somebody that's on the other end that you're competing with that's very prepared and knowledgeable and that does a good job and has good players game in and game out. We've just been very lucky to have, I think, great kids in our program that have grown and developed and embraced, a little bit of our culture. And, we've grown that into hopefully what can be a sustainable winning program and culture.
One thing I'm curious about with your program, and this is something you've mentioned several times on these calls, is you're proud of not just what your players are doing on the floor, but you're proud of some of the work they're doing off the floor. A lot of their advocacy efforts, their work in the community. How do you balance that as a basketball coach, making sure that they're doing both, they're taking care of both, but one isn't taking away from the other?
Well, I think that they both work hand in hand, Jeff. And, doing the advocacy stuff, being out in the community, having an opportunity to, I think, serve, lead, and give back, it helps develop our young men in a way that I think helps our basketball program. They're doing things that are outside of themselves. And, we asked our guys on the basketball court to do things outside of themselves, maybe to speak at we call it a level 5 voice, maybe for guys to do things that they're not comfortable with, for those things to become comfortable. So I think part of our learning experience for our student athletes on and off the court is to find those areas of growth that they can really excel in and develop. And let's really try to make those opportunities, worthwhile and worthy to their growth and development.
Coach Davis, I'm glad you're on with us this morning because this is a question I've been meaning to ask you for some time. We talk about championship experience and we talk about programs that have championship experience. You came onto campus at Howard University with 6 MEAC rings already, just from you. So what does that experience, how does that play in the locker room, not just when talking to your players, but other members of your coaching staff?
Yeah, I try to give them as much as my experience as possible. Kind of talk about what it's going to feel like, what the crowd's going to be like, what the emotions are going to be like, so that they're not as shocked about it when going into it. And, the fact that we won it last year and coming back with a lot of players that were in that experience last year is going to help us tremendously because they're not going to be afraid of the moment. And they're gonna know exactly what it's gonna feel like to get out to that floor and have to perform, in front of those bright lights of the MEAC tournament. So I try to just give it as much about my experience as I can, and then for them to get their own experience as well. So whenever they ask me, which I love when they ask me about it, I like to tell them that it's a lot of hard work, and you got to be ready for the moment and prepared.
One last question for me, and it's for both of you. We'll start with you, Coach Blakeney. Howard University will hoist the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank.
Jeff, I can't even get past tomorrow. So when you started saying March 11th, I'm like, when the heck is that? I'm just looking forward to tomorrow and having an opportunity to compete and honor our seniors on, what should be a fabulous day for them. They've done a great job here in helping us establish and build the culture. And we just want to recognize and, play for those guys tomorrow. So I can't even think past, tomorrow.
Fair enough. Coach Davis?
Yeah, I agree with KB. We're looking forward to honoring our seniors and playing one last great game at home. The home atmosphere at Howard University has been amazing. I mean, our games have been the biggest ticket in DC for weeks now. It's going to be standing room only tomorrow, so we're looking forward to that for both games. It's gonna be crazy in there. We're looking forward to that energy being in Bird Gymnasium. But I will answer your question. We'll win a championship if we make the least amount of mistakes on both ends of the floor. Plain and simple.
I was wondering when I was going to ask that question and get hit with the one game at a time coach speak that we normally get. So I understand that and I appreciate that. And Brian, I appreciate you for giving me an answer on the question. Anyway, those conclude all my questions. Why not open it up for questions from the media? If you have a question for either Coach Davis or Coach Blakeney, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform. We have a question from Brandon King.
Right, sure. All right, can you hear me? Let me adjust my camera here, sorry about that. All right, yes, Brandon, HBCUsports.com. This first question is for Coach Davis. First of all, love that shirt. Where can I get one of those? That wasn't my question.
HU Bookstore, man, HU Bookstore.
I will definitely go and check that out. Yeah. But obviously, you mentioned the championship experience that you have, and that getting to the top of the mountain is difficult, but staying there is even more so difficult. So when you bring in that approach to your team, is the approach as you go into this last game, but not only the tournament, is your approach from last year to this year a little different, knowing that this season you're basically the hunted instead of the hunters? You've got that target on your back as a defending champion.
Yeah, we know we have that target, but we're doing a targeting as well. But really with us, we try to focus on us. we try to focus on what we're doing and what we're doing well and what we need to do to be successful as a team. I feel like if we do those things, that the team's going to be successful no matter what. So we want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do on both ends of the floor in order to see success. So that's really our focus. Haven't talked much about last year, so we're focused on the here and now, and that's really our strategy.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Jeff, do I have time for a quick follow-up for Coach Blakeney?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully you can hear me. You mentioned in your previous comments about, building that culture and stretching your guys outside of the norms, both on and off the court. Was that something that you came in when you took the job wanting to bring that in and instill, or was that something that was developed as you got in and started to build the program up?
Well, I've always looked at the basketball court from my mentors, and they've always looked at it as being educators and being teachers, and it's a classroom setting. And we have, Coach Davis and myself, we have the most incredible opportunity to teach at one of the greatest universities in the history of the world. And for us to be teachers, leaders, mentors to some of the most fabulous students that attend our university, it's an honor for us to be able to do that. So the education for our young men and our programs go well beyond the classroom. And we'll be doing those guys a disservice if we're not taking those opportunities to help them nurture, develop, and grow.
Thank you. Well, good luck tomorrow, and also good luck as we head through and into tournament play.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Brandon.
Thank you.
Coach Davis, Coach Blakeney, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your participation the last couple of months. Good luck tomorrow night. We'll see you in Norfolk next week.
All right, Jeff, see you.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. Great job.
Thank you. Howard University will play host to Norfolk State to wrap up the regular season tomorrow night, Thursday, March 2nd. And the men's game will tip off live on ESPNU at 9 p.m. We're now joined by Maryland Eastern Shore head women's coach Fred Batchelor and head men's coach Jason Crafton. The Hawk men are 8-5 in league play, now sitting in 4th place in the standings, while the UMES women sit at 5-8 in conference play and have vaulted into a tie for 5th place. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Morning, Jeff.
Coach Batchelor, we'll start with you. Since we last spoke, you've won 4 of your last 5 games and you've moved up to 5th place in the standings. What's the difference? Is it as simple as the ball is starting to go through the hoop?
Keep it simple. Yeah, that makes a big difference. We've shot the ball, the best that we shot all year long in February, and it does help with the energy on the defensive end. And the kids feel a little bit better when they're making shots, and we've been able to capitalize off of that.
Thanks, Captain.
We've talked before about your program's penchant for drama in March, knocking off the 1 seed in 2020, the one year you made the run to the championship game as an 8 seed. But you're starting to turn that on now, and you're building momentum going into the tournament. How important is that to be playing well now and not just relying on rolling out the scope on March 8th and it's there?
It's big. I mean, momentum is huge. I think confidence is even bigger. And for the kids to feel a little bit better about themselves going into tournament play. And that's what and each of the times that we were able to do that in the past and make a run in the tournament, we had gained momentum in the last couple of weeks of the season. So, this is something that I think is important that you do, because I when they start talking about everybody 0-0 going into the tournament, it's true in a sense, but it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've been playing really good basketball and you've developed a level of competency on the court, that doesn't just go away because you're starting a tournament. So I believe it's important for us to develop a level of competency on the court, which we've been able to do, especially with a very young team. The fact that they've persevered and fought through, and we're still learning. And this will be, for many of these kids, when the first time that they've seen the floor. We start 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a junior. So for some of them kids, this is going to be the first time they've ever been in a MEAC tournament. So it's important for them to have built up a level of competency and confidence going into it.
We've talked this year about players like Ariana Sewell, the games she's had. We talked about Samara Haynes. Maya Thomas has emerged in recent weeks for you. Talk about her game.
Well, she's struggled probably more than I've ever seen her struggle in the 3 years that I've coached her. She's been here for 4, but we didn't play the 1 year. But I've never seen a kid that was, her freshman year, she was the big difference in us being able to advance and get to the semifinals before COVID struck. But she was really struggling. And I was telling her that sometimes everything happens for a reason. And this may not have anything to do with basketball, and maybe just building your level of competency going into life and going what's next for you. But it's really nice to have her back. We sat and we've talked about, as much as I've needed her, and I don't trust anybody more than her, or depend on anybody more than her, how important and valuable she is. And it's nice that she's starting to play better basketball and feeling more confident. And it makes my job a whole lot easier. She told me the other day, she was back, and I told her, well, thank God, because I've been sitting here waiting for you, and we needed it. So we just hope we can ride her through and carry that she can help us get through and advance in the tournament.
Coach Crafton, you were picked to finish 6th in the league this year, and you're looking at possibly finishing with a top 4 seed in the tournament. What's been the biggest key for your program this season, and how do you get that to translate into tournament play next week? You're on mute, Coach.
Hear me? Yeah, can you repeat the question?
You were picked to finish 6th in the preseason poll, but you're looking at possibly finishing in the top 4, getting a top 4 seed in the tournament. What's been the biggest key to your program's success this year, and how do you translate that into tournament play next week?
We got veterans that know what to do and how we want to do things. We've instilled a great culture. We had senior night 2 nights ago. 8 guys are graduating or 5th-year guys doing grad school work or something like that. So, and of those 8 guys, 5 or 6 of them have been together for 3 years, and 3 of them have been together for 4 years. So it just comes down to veteran leadership, guys knowing what to do, how to start games, how to close out games. And, outside of some injuries and things we dealt with in the second half of conference play, we came into the middle of the conference play tied for first or in first or something like that. So we're trying to finish strong this week. Really tough Del State team that's playing good basketball and scrapping it up. So we know that's going to be a road battle, and we're just excited to be in the conversation this year.
How gratifying is what your program's been able to do this season, particularly considering 2 years ago, you didn't set foot on the floor at all?
Yeah, I think, gratifying will probably be hoisting that trophy up, 10, 14 days from now, whenever that is, and finishing the job that we set forth to do back when I took the job over here. So, we really haven't gotten too caught up in, what transpired a few years ago. We just kind of stayed on the journey and just kept pushing forward. So, really just proud of the resilience of the guys, and, not just for basketball, but what that experience will do for their lives, having something taken away from them and not quitting, staying together, and continuing to push the program forward. We made a jump last year, made another jump this year. Now we got to find a way to finish the job.
Tony, you should mention hoisting the trophy, because that was going to be my next question for both you and for Coach Batchelor. And Coach Batchelor, we'll start with you on this. Maryland Eastern Shore will hoist, the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank. You're on mute, Coach.
The easy response is saying to make shots. But I would say it's going to take a level of synergy, a level of connectedness, a level of self-sacrifice, and really kids playing for each other and playing for the program more than anything else in order for us to be successful and be able to accomplish that feat. And I believe that this group has shown me that they're capable of sacrificing for each other and connecting at a deep level. I just keep telling them we just need to go deeper and deeper in regard to how we play for each other.
Coach Crafton?
Yeah, my answer would that be just stay true to the process and everything that we put in. Not get caught up in the moment. Just stay true to what we've been doing and keep doing it. Keep growing at it. Keep doing it. Our one-way mentality, playing with tenacity, playing as a family, staying together. If we do that, we feel like our culture will put us in position to hoist the trophy.
All right, coaches, that concludes all my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform and identify yourself and your outlet when called upon. Now looking for questions for Coach Batchelor and Coach Crafton. All right, coaches, we have no questions from the media, so thank you for your attendance this morning. Thank you for your participation the last couple months. Good luck tomorrow night against Delaware State, and we'll see you in Norfolk next week.
Thanks, Jeff. I think you've done a great job with this too. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Maryland Eastern Shore will head up Route 13 on Thursday as they wrap up the regular season against rival Delaware State. We will now make our second virtual trip to Baltimore this morning. We're now joined by Morgan State University head women's basketball coach Edward Davis and third-year head men's coach Kevin Brodus. Lady Bears currently sit at 9-4 in MEAC play and are tied with Howard University for second in the standings, while the Morgan State men are fifth in the league, sitting at 7-6. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us this morning. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Coach Brodus, we'll start with you. You hit a little bit of a rough patch there, but you've since won your last 3 games, including a win over Howard, who currently sits in first place. Is your program rounding into form at just the right time?
I like to think so. I hope we are. You know, you never know. We're game to game. And, you know, we've played some good teams in the last couple of weeks. I mean, all these teams in this league is good. I think personally, you don't have any off nights, and all the games we've played have been battles. And we luckily the last 3 games have come out on top.
You mentioned a couple weeks ago the loss of Malik Miller. Does it feel like your program is starting to, I don't want to say have come up with a solution to replace him, but have adapted to what life on the floor without him is like?
Well, you don't replace Malik Miller in 2 weeks, first and foremost. I mean, he's the heart and soul of our team, and we've just learned to play without him. Malik has been the heart and soul of our team since I've been here. So, you know, our guys have, you know, bonded together and started to play, you know, team basketball. So it's not the next man thing up. It's a team effort now.
Yeah, one player I noticed this past weekend is a name I hadn't really seen a whole lot of until recently. Again, Isaiah Burke had a big game this past weekend. You know, everybody knows the heater he was on back when conference play started. 3 straight 30-point games, 20-point effort this past weekend. Talk about his performance, and is he one of the keys to you making a run next week?
He's definitely a key, but the thing that all you guys see is the 30 points to scoring. You know, he had 5 assists. I mean, he's been defending out his mind. I mean, Isaiah Burke has been a good all-around player for us. And he's doing now what he needs to do to help us win. In some games, that's not scoring 20, 30 points. I think he's in the top 2 or 3 in scoring in the league. But like I told him, we need him to defend some of the better guards in this league, which it's some really good guards in this league. And he's been doing that, and he's been sharing the game. The last game we played, I had to take him out at the end because he was kind of forcing the issue a little bit. And he came over and said, "Coach, I got to chill out. I got to settle down." To hear that from a senior, that means that's growth in your program. So it's good to know that he's doing more than just scoring.
Do we have Coach Ed Davis on with us? We don't see him on. So Coach Brodus, one last question from me for you. And it's a fill in the blank question. I've asked every coach this morning. Morgan State will hoist the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th if blank?
First of all, and where I come from, you know, some of the places I've been, I can't even think that far here. We got a crosstown rival team, Coppin, coming in tomorrow. Then we got to get through the first round, second round, and third round. And I'm not a genie. Some of these other guys may be able to answer that better than I really can't answer that because, you know, right now we're just worried about winning the next game. And then, you know, you got 3 games before you even get to the championship. I think 2 or 3 or 4. I don't know the exact format since it's 18, but I'm sorry, I can't answer that. I mean, we got to get through tomorrow and the first round, then the next round, and the next round. And then if we're fortunate to get there, you know, with God's blessing and willing, and everyone's healthy and doing the right things, if we play smart, hard, and together, we'll have a chance to win.
That's 2 I've gotten this morning, just one game at a time kind of thing. So
who's the other guy?
Blake me.
I tell you, man, it's no guarantee, and this is the funny thing. That's why they call it March Madness. And I've been doing this a long time, 30 plus years, and it's no rhyme or reason. On any given Sunday, as they put it in football, on any given night in college basketball, anyone can win. So, you know, I wish I was smart enough to tell you the direct answer. Because if I could tell you what it would take for us to do it, then we would do it. It's simple as that. I'm not good enough to tell you that one. I'm sorry.
Fair enough, Coach. Those are all the questions for me. We'll open it up for questions from the media. If you have a question for Coach Brodus, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform and identify yourself and your outlet when called upon. Questions for Coach Brodus? All right, Coach, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for the last couple of months. Good luck tomorrow night against Coppin State, and we'll see you in Norfolk next week.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for your time and efforts with this whole platform, and thank everyone else who's been involved, and look forward to seeing everyone at the MEAC tournament.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, we were unable to get Coach Davis this morning. Morgan State will wrap up the regular season on Thursday, March 2nd, at home in Hill Fieldhouse with a doubleheader at home against rival Coppin State. We will be joined by the Norfolk State coaches, Larry Vickers and Robert Jones. Their segment is scheduled to begin at 10:52 a.m. It's 10:52 a.m. Once both coaches are on, we will resume the biweekly coaches video conference. And just like that, we are now back to the 2022-23 MEAC basketball coaches biweekly video conference. We're now with a trip a little closer to home. We're now joined by Norfolk State head women's coach Larry Vickers and head men's coach Robert Jones. Spartan women are 11-2 in MEAC play and have wrapped up the MEAC regular season championship, and they are currently riding a 6-game winning streak, while the Norfolk State men are currently in a tie for second place, sitting at 9-4 along with North Carolina Central. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
Good morning.
Coach Vickers, we'll start with you. Last time we spoke, we talked about momentum, and now you're on a 6-game winning streak and you've locked up the top seed in the tournament. What's been the biggest key to your team's success on this recent stretch?
Well, I think we're moving the ball really well. We're sharing the ball. Our assist numbers, our last 6 games have really went up. So, you know, the ball movement for us has led to better shots, better percentages, led to the wins.
And we talked about you wrapping up the regular season championship on Monday with a win over North Carolina Central. Is there any benefit to having already settled that with 1 game left in the regular season, or did it matter to you one way or another? You just play the games as they're scheduled?
Yeah. You know, we only get 29, 30 of these opportunities in the regular season. HBCU game, they actually asked me, was I thinking about resting them? And I'm like, well, they only play 120 games for their career. You just want to take advantage of every opportunity that you get.
Coach Jones, what's the outlook for your program with one regular season game remaining? It's a big one at Howard. You're on national TV. And then next week, you got a shot at winning a third straight tournament title. What's the outlook for this program?
To win the game tomorrow. That's the biggest thing that we're doing right now. We try to do something with 3 straight regular season titles or share of titles and 3 tournaments that hasn't been done since like 1988. So we're trying to have a little bit of history. So tomorrow, we want to start hopefully making that history, and it's a big game for us tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that game. I know it's going to be an exciting atmosphere. It's always pretty exciting when Howard always gets a pretty decent crowd most of the time, but I'm sure tomorrow will be a zoo. So we're looking forward to that.
What's the biggest thing that you're looking at in terms of your program right now? Not necessarily something to improve upon, but what's your focus as a program in terms of you talked about winning tomorrow and then winning the games. How do you go about that?
Just having the focus, the preparation. It's about the willingness to prepare. And not always about the willing to play. So we try to talk about that a lot, about preparing the right way in practice, preparing the right way in scout, preparing the right way, way before the game even happens. You got to have the willingness to prepare. So, I think that our guys are, prepared pretty well for this game, and hopefully we'll go out and have a great game tomorrow.
Talk a little bit about Chris Bankston and the performance that he's had in recent days. He had a monster game against Central this past Monday. He was our conference co-player of the week and defensive player of the week. Talk about his performance on the floor.
Well, he's showing now why NBA scouts have come to watch some of our practices and games. He's showing why he's on that radar. Somewhat. So, obviously everyone gets enamored by his dunks and things like that because he always gets close to leading the country in dunks. But he's a force down low with his touch around the rim as well. And now he started picking up his defensive presence. And that's something that we've challenged him on all year, is to pick up his defensive presence, because a guy with a 6'9", guy with a 43-inch vert, you should be getting more blocks and things of that nature. So he's been, doing that. He got 3 blocks last game. I think he got 6 one, a recent game. So he's been living up to that challenge that we've been giving him on the defensive end, because we know at offensive end, he's going to be able to get his, his points, but we're challenging him more on the defensive end.
Coach Vickers, when you took over this program, you took over mid-season. It was a program that hadn't won a game that season to that point, and then you win your first game out there, and it's really been full speed ahead for you since then. And you're one of the more successful programs in the conference in that time frame. Talk about the evolution and the growth of the Norfolk State women's program since you've taken over.
Well, we just try to do it brick by brick. Year 1, 15-15, then the following year, 18-11, then the following year we moved in the championship game. Then the following year was COVID. We felt like we had a really, really good team that year. Then COVID set us back some. And then last year, regular season, share of the title, lost in the championship game. And now this year, regular season sole champion. So we just trying to do it brick by brick. I've been super proud of this group. We've accomplished all our goals this year, from the Savannah tournament we played earlier this year with some really good programs, regular season champions. So now we just got one more thing left on our checklist, and hopefully we can accomplish that next week.
Coach Jones, does seeding matter to you?
To a certain extent. I think a lot of the seeds are interchangeable. I think 1 and 2 is interchangeable in the sense that 1 and 2 are the only seeds that, you get a day off in between. So that's very important. Once you get to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's all like the same, because you got to play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And, with the first and second seed, it's not even like the day off for rest. It's just a day off for preparation, because I think when you play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the prep is so quick. It's a quick turnaround. But at least if you play Wednesday, you have a chance to prepare for the team that you played Friday, so I think that does matter in that regard.
My last question is for both coaches, and Coach Vickers, we'll start with you on this. It's a question I've asked every coach this morning. Norfolk State will hoist the championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank.
I mean, we're just gonna have to have everybody in the program bought in, locked in, from coaches, managers, training staff, everybody, bench, everybody just locked in next week.
Coach Jones?
And some luck. Some luck is always good.
I mean, maybe because we've been around each other so long, he took my answer too. I mean, that's what it is. Like a lot of times, it's not always the best team that wins the championship, but sometimes it's the luckiest team. So it's the luck of the draw, it's the luck of the brackets. It's the luck of the bounce of the ball. And things like that. And of course, you do have to be good to a certain regard. So there's not taking away from that, but you need some luck too. So hopefully, we can be the best team going into the MEAC tournament next year and be the luckiest as well.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all my questions. When I open it up for questions from the media, if you have a question for either Coach Vickers or Coach Jones, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform and identify yourself and your outlet when called upon. Our first question comes from Nick Lorenzen.
Nick Lawrence, Mid-Major Madness. Coach Jones, Dana and Joe didn't play last game, but you guys showed a lot of resilience. So just talk about that effort, and are they going to be good to go on Thursday at Howard?
Yeah, Dana and Joe didn't play last game. It was a violation of team rules, and we hold our program to a high standard no matter who you are. If you violate those rules, you don't play, and there's a consequence behind it. So hopefully those two young men learn from their mistakes, and they will be available tomorrow to play. But the team, in general, showed a lot of resilience because at one point, for a lot of the second half, we basically without our top three scorers, well, three of the top four scorers, because we was without Joe and Dana wasn't available. And then Kaheem Brown tweaked his ankle a little bit in the second half and wasn't able to finish the game. He'll be available tomorrow too. But to be able to come back from 29 points down with basically the second and third unit, just basically show the kind of team that we have and just kind of reinforce that we do have a lot of depth. And, there's guys like Dana and Joe and Bankston that get a lot of fanfare, but we do have a lot of other guys that can step up and play, and they had the opportunity and they showed that and they showed the resilience. And, if we made one more free throw in regulation, that would have been the greatest comeback of my career. But, hey, we didn't make the free throw and, we ended up losing the game. So shall it be.
Brandon King.
Brandon King, HBCUsports.com. This question is for Coach Vickers. In between the last time we all had a chance to get together, you did get your 100th win of your career. Knowing that in a league as competitive as the MEAC, these wins are not easy to come by. Have you had time to even process or acknowledge it, and what does that say to what you're building there with the NSU women's program?
Well, I really celebrated it when we got it. We actually got it earlier in the season in November, but the school wanted to celebrate it on the young lady's senior night. So we kind of put everything out there. But, just from taking over the program on 19, we worked hard. Me, my staff, everybody who plays for me, they all work hard. So, I just want to thank all of them, while we got this time. But, sometimes some of the stuff that we've been that we managed to do it's a little shocking. I don't think I completely grasp how well we've kind of turned this thing around.
All right. Well, thank you, and good luck to both the coaches as we move forth and heading into tournament play. Thank you for your this season.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Vickers, Coach Jones, thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your participation these last couple months. Good luck tomorrow night, and we'll see you at the Scope next week.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Norfolk State will hit the road for a Thursday doubleheader against Howard University in Bird Gymnasium. And as a reminder, the men's contest will be televised live on ESPNU starting at 9 p.m. North Carolina Central's coaches are scheduled to be on at 11:02 a.m. And once those coaches are on, we will resume the coaches' biweekly video conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now resume the 2022-23 MEAC Basketball Coaches Biweekly Video Conference. We are now joined by North Carolina Central head men's coach Lavelle Moten. The Eagle men are 9-4 in league play so far this season. They're tied for second in the standings, and they're currently on a 6-game winning streak. Morning, Coach Moten. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. I just mentioned it. You've won 6 in a row. You're tied for second in the league standings. There's even a shot at a share of the regular season title, depending on how tomorrow night's games go. What's been the biggest key for you all during this run, and are you peaking at the right time?
I think we are peaking at the right time. Traditionally and typically our teams have always played our best towards latter part of February and early March, which is when you really want to peak. I just thought we had some issues from within the team that was beyond our control, some tragedy, some circumstances. And, we dropped a few games because the kids was going through, an awful lot, just personally and just in terms of their family. So we just wanted to put our arms around them and love them throughout their process. And I think right now they're coming back to life. They're coming back to a sense of normalcy. And, they're really bonding and putting things together. So kudos to them.
A lot of the guys who get the attention, Justin Wright, Brindley Medley-Bacon, we talked about before. Who are some other players you want to spotlight as having played well this recent stretch?
Eric Boone, he was MEAC Player of the Week, if I'm not mistaken. He had an excellent week against Maryland Eastern Shore on the road. Chris Monroe played extremely well in a couple of games. So when we do it, Fred Cleveland came off the bench and gave us a huge spark against Norfolk. So when we do it, it's by committee. Wright and Medley-Bacon gets the bulk of the attention, and deservedly so. But we got some other guys that really contribute in other ways as well.
Talk about that Norfolk State game, because at one point you were up by as many as 29 points, and then they come all the way back. Game goes to overtime, and you win it that way. Not just the fact that you won against a team that won the last 2 championships and could figure in again this year, but to win that in the way you did, that's got to be a confidence builder for your program, right?
It might be a confidence builder, but it's a cholesterol and blood pressure riser too. Like, this is crazy. These guys, they kill you, man. I don't even really know what to say, man. It's been something that we must rectify. We've had leads in every game, and just being able to sustain those leads, it comes down to taking care of the basketball, and we're just not taking care of the basketball as we should for a consistent 40 minutes. And that's on me. I just got to put them in a better position to take care of the basketball and just manage a basketball game, so much better. So, and then the guys also got to understand that, look, man, it's NCCU on our chest, right? And the reality is we've created a reputation, in this league and throughout mid-majors that, we're a revered program. And with that said, you're going to get everyone's best shot at all times. No one is going to pack it up and lay down for you, right? And so whenever you're up, they're trying to come back. And whenever you're down, they're trying to put their foot on your neck and squash you. So we have to understand that every night we step out there, regardless of our opponent, they're going to play a full 40 minutes because it's deeply personal to them.
We're joined now by head women's coach Tricia Stafford Odom. Coach, thank you for joining us this morning. You've won 3 of your last 5 games, and it looks like you're going to go into the tournament as a top 4 seed, the best seed for the program since you've been at the helm. What's been the biggest key for you this season, and how do you translate that into tournament success next week?
First, good morning, Jeff and everyone else. Thank you. And I'm excited about how we're entering this year's MEAC tournament. And I just think the wisdom and experience that I've gained by being a part of the MEAC and the tournament setting, I'm going to be able to transfer that to my players as far as the need to be extremely intense, the need to recognize that every possession is important, and taking care of the basketball is key.
I'm thinking this was 3 years ago or whatever. I remember you won your quarterfinal game in the conference tournament, and then you came in for the postgame press conference, and you were excited about just the simple fact that you won a tournament game, and you called it a stepping stone. What's the next stepping stone? Is it just as simple as winning more than one game in the tournament, or is there something else you're looking at?
Oh, no, not at all. We have higher aspirations and I think realistic goals set to win the tournament and even get get in the first round, and maybe a second round is get accomplished with the aspiration. Succumb to allowing just circumstances to make my goals even less. But win a tournament, MEAC, ultimately, the goal is to be, dominant in the conference and in the tournament, and to proceed, like I said, a couple of rounds into the NCAA tournament. But more than anything, before we look at the wins, I want to play well. I want us to control what we can control on the court, be efficient offensively, share the basketball, dominate in rebounding, and get our transition game going. So we feel good about how we're playing.
One last question for me, and it's for both of you. We'll start with you, Coach Moten. I've been asking the coaches this question all morning. So North Carolina Central will hoist the MEAC championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if fill in the blank.
We continue to defend at a high level. We rebound the basketball, and we value the basketball.
I'd say, almost echoing Coach Moten, we have to defend for 40 minutes with aggression and intent to change how the offense plays. I think share the basketball, get our transition game going, and have fun being victorious.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. If you have a question for either Coach Moten or Coach Stafford Odom, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform. Questions for Coach Moten or Coach Stafford Odom? Coaches, I see no questions for either of you. So thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for your participation the last couple of months. Good luck tomorrow night. We'll see you in Norfolk next week.
Thank you. And I don't want to leave without congratulating Norfolk State, Coach Figures, for controlling the MEAC, winning the championship.
Thank you, coaches. North Carolina Central will hit the road for a Thursday, March 2nd doubleheader to wrap up the regular season against South Carolina State. Speaking of South Carolina State, that's where we will wrap things up today. And we are now joined by Bulldog head women's coach Tim Eatman and head men's coach Eric Martin. Both South Carolina State programs are 2-11 in league play, sitting in 8th place in the standings. Good morning, coaches. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Good morning.
Coach Eatman, we'll start with you. You've hit a little bit of a rough patch in recent weeks, but once we get to Norfolk next week, it's almost like the slate is wiped clean, and it's almost like everybody's 0-0 at that point. What's your message to your team going into tournament play?
We always we're trying to get our kids to understand that there's tons of people that fall down. The question is, how do you get up? And we've been instilling them in them every day that the message, the stories are not about who fell. The story is about who got up. And so we're consistently trying to develop that with our team. And we're consistently trying to develop our team to understand that we're going to play with the hand that we're dealt, and we're going to do the best of our ability with what we have. Today, we practiced with 6 players, and I looked around, I looked at them, I said, this is the hand that we're dealt. So let's go to work and let's try to get better and continue to compete and to continue to play hard. So that's our message to our team, and that's what we're trying to get across.
Coach Martin, I could almost ask you the exact same question.
Yeah, we still have a game left to play in the regular season, so we're not looking toward the postseason yet. We have North Carolina Central coming in, so we're going to lock in on them, and then after we play them, then we'll start looking toward the tournament. But the message I'm sending to my team is we just need to learn how to finish. I mean, if you look at our record throughout the league, we played a ton of close games. We've won 2, but we've lost more than our share. So I want our kids to keep believing in themselves, keep believing in the process, and knowing, as you said, when next week starts after Thursday's game, everybody's 0-0, and it really depends. It's the one game. Your life depends on one game. So we want to make sure we're dialed in, we're focused. Most importantly, we want to make sure we're healthy, and then let the chips fall where they may.
March being what it is, and this is a question both of you can answer. Anything can happen. You know, we've seen Cinderella runs year after year after year, and this conference is no stranger to it. Coppin State made the men's final last year as a 7 seed. We've had teams before win the entire tournament as a low seed, 7, 8, sometimes even double digits. So what would it take for South Carolina State to make a run like that next week?
Coach Eatman, you can answer.
Well, I think that you hit it on the head. We have to take it one game at a time and 1 minute at a time. And our biggest setbacks have been this season is being inconsistent throughout the game. If you look at our Howard game, we actually outplayed them 25-7 in the 4th quarter. But the reality of it is that we have to play that way the entire 4 games. And I think that's a part of conditioning. I think that's a part of being mentally focused on what we have to do. So our message to the team is you got one opportunity to earn another 40 minutes. And so each game when you play, you have to play it at the best of your ability for the entire 40 minutes. And so if we can do that and play one possession at a time, which sounds easy, but it becomes difficult when you're dealing with adversity and distractions. But if we can stay and play one possession at a time, we can play with anyone in the league. But we have to, all 5 of us have to be on the same page on one accord to get that accomplished.
Yeah, and it's as I said earlier, we have to we just have to take it one day at a time. Also, you know, I'm gonna be on my kids when we start preparing for the tournament to live in the moment and just take it one day at a time. I know my team. I have enough talent to where we can win the MEAC tournament. It's my job to convey that message to them so they believe that. But I think the fact that we played so many close games, it's a turnover here, a missed free throw there, a missed assignment. I think my team's urgency level needs to go up when next week's tournament starts. When we're urgent, it seems like we always play better when we're behind. I've tried to express to them, let's not dig a hole and have to play hard to get out of the hole just to catch up. And now we expended so much energy. Let's jump on teams from the start and then play from ahead. That's how we won our 2 games in league, to be honest. We beat Coppin and we beat Morgan. We were at home, but we jumped ahead. So as long as we start fast, I think we have a chance to win it all. But I truly believe in my heart that we can win the MEAC tournament.
And to that point, Coach, my last question is for both of you, and it's the same question I've been asking coaches all morning. South Carolina State will hoist the MEAC championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if
we make open shots. We make open shots. I mean, it boils down to if we can make open shots, it fuels our defense. It gives us more confidence. And if you look at our shooting percentage, it's simply because we just haven't made open shots. And whether that's a layup, whether that's a 15-footer, or whether that's a free throw to win games. I mean, so we go back 3 games ago, when we have a free throw to send the game into overtime, and we missed a shot. So we have to make open shots to continue to believe in what we're trying to get accomplished.
Rebound the ball and value the ball. We play better. We can get multiple shots on the offensive side and limit them to 1. And it's been no secret that we lead the men's side in turnover. We are very, very what's the word? Gracious in giving the other team the ball on multiple occasions.
We want to share it with everybody besides ourselves.
We do. We share the ball with everyone.
It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Give many gifts out.
That's right. If we can cut down on our turnovers, I think that gives us more possessions and less possessions for the other team. So yeah, rebound the ball and value the ball.
Everybody want to come to our house for Christmas. That's what it boils down to. When you turn it over 25 or 27 times, people want to come to your house for Christmas because we're going to give a lot of gifts out. So
I kind of echo what Coach said, but once again, we are getting better. We are getting better, and that's all you can ask as we move throughout the season. Get better, be getting better daily, and that's all you can ask.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude all my questions. No gifts over here.
I do want to say this before you end. We appreciate the MEAC conference. The weekly updates are tremendous. It gives great insights on what's going on to the other programs. So this is something that's really been great for me. And I think it's something that we have to continue to do. And we're going to work on our end to get more of our media people to try to want to be on this call, because the more they're on this call, the more they value our conference and more they understand the intelligence of the coaches in the league. And so I just commend the league for that.
Yeah. And if I could say something real quick, I said this to Coach Jones the other day. The MEAC is one of the better conferences in America. The problem is you're not on national TV all the time, so you don't see it. But these coaches have been they're professional. They've been great with me. It's my first year, so I'm learning. And I want to thank all those guys who had a word here, a word there to, encourage me and kind of give me some advice. So thank you to all the coaches out there. I appreciate it.
Thank you, coaches. Appreciate you for joining us this morning and for your participation the last couple of months. Good luck tomorrow night, and we'll see you in Norfolk next week.
Thank you. Take care, Jeff.
South Carolina State will be at home on Thursday for a doubleheader against North Carolina Central to wrap up the regular season. We do have one more coach to join us this morning. We are joined now by Morgan State head women's coach Edward Davis. Lady Bears are 9-4 in MEAC play and currently tied for second place in the standings with Howard. Coach, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm sorry I was a little late. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was a little late. I got caught on 95 and couldn't get a signal to get to you at my correct time, so I apologize to you.
Well, we're glad you're here with us now, and we know traffic up that way can be a problem.
Right.
Coach, it's been a bit of a rough stretch these last 2 weeks. You were 9-0 the last time we talked, first place all alone, and now you've lost 4 in a row. What's been the biggest difference between the first 9 games and the last 4?
Well, like I tell everybody, and especially all the years I've been in the MEAC, it's just the fact that the teams that are below you at the time are going to definitely turn the tables and play better. And if you don't understand that as a program, then you're going to have problems. So I just attribute the fact that a couple of things on our end, we've gotten into, let's say, some unknown territory by not doing certain things. And I think the other teams have just played so much better, and we got caught by each of the teams that we lost in their preparation for us.
You've got one more regular season game. That's tomorrow night against Coppin State, and then the tournament next week. How do you turn around to get back to the way you were playing before the last time we talked?
Well, as much as I can be a crazy man out there coaching, I have to kind of go back to the flip side of it and ask my team what were we doing well during the 9-0 run versus what we're doing wrong now, and make them understand the sense of urgency of playing, because nobody in this conference has any sympathy for you, whether you're 9-0 or whatever. You're going to have to play at a higher level and a level of consistency. And that's what I'm trying to get at in terms of most of the teams I coach. This team is kind of suffering a little bit with that, but I do hope that in the next couple of days we can find a way to get back to those avenues of playing at a higher level.
Last question I have for you. It's a fill in the blank question I've been asking coaches all morning. Morgan State will hoist the MEAC championship trophy on Saturday, March 11th, if
we get more bench production, which I think is crucial in any tournament you play. I do not think that your front five can win it for you all the time. You've got to have 6, 7, 8, 9 that are contributing points off the bench to sustain leads, especially in tournament play. Also, that the second part of that question would be that we understand that we've blown an opportunity, and also wanted to give congratulations to Coach Biggers at Norfolk State for winning. Did an outstanding job all year long. But we have to find a way to be, let's say, consistent at a higher level and stay there. Not looking to blame anybody, any place, but understanding that tournament play is about what we want to do. You know, do you really want to win? You've been here 4 years, 2 years, 1 year. You know, what is it you want to gain out of this experience? And I always tell recruits, if you don't get to a championship round at least one time in your career, then that's kind of tough. But that's just an objective I try to give all the kids. So unless we have that bench play and unless we have that consistency among our starting group, that's the only way that we will hoist any type of championship or any type of trophy.
Thank you, Coach Davis. That concludes all my questions. Do we have any questions from the media for Coach Davis? All right, Coach, hearing none. Thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for checking in with us. Good luck tomorrow night against Coppin State, and we'll see you next week in Norfolk.
Thank you very much.
Coppin State will conclude the regular season tomorrow, Thursday, March 2nd, at the Hill Fieldhouse against rival Coppin State. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 5th and final MEAC Basketball Coaches Biweekly Video Conference of the season. We would like to thank the media who has participated both today and throughout these last 2 months, as well as the conference's men's and women's coaches. Before we end this call, the MEAC would like to thank its corporate partners, including the National Football League, ESPN, Coca-Cola, Cricket, Jostens, Town Bank, Geico, Army ROTC, TIAA, Wells Fargo, and Nike. As always, for up-to-date news on MEAC men's and women's basketball and other sponsored sports, please log on to www.meacsports.com. For more information on the 2023 MEAC basketball tournament, please visit www.meachoops.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. Once again, thank you for joining the 2022-23 MEAC Basketball Coaches Biweekly Video Conference. Have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you in Norfolk for the 2023 MEAC Basketball Tournament.
Thank you, Jeff.